Every business knows they need great marketing, but it's often hard to know what works and what you should be doing, let alone finding the time to do it. Abby and her team at Crisp Communications take all this hassle away, creating beautiful marketing that helps businesses put their best foot forward. They don't just deliver great results, they're also super easy to work with and practice what they preach with great communication all along the way. So if you need a new website, new branding, new brochures, or even help with your podcast, head to crispcoms.co to find out more.
There are a few things finer in life than beer.
But have you ever wondered how that golden goodness was made?
Then hop on board with Hop On Brewery Tours.
We'll take you behind the scenes of local breweries, show you the fascinating brewing process, and even find the right beer for you.
With full and half-day tour options available, Hop On Brewery Tours offer the most fun, educational, and unique day out in Brisbane or on the Gold Coast.
Change your perception of beer with Hop On Brewery Tours, Queensland's original craft beer tours. Visit hoponbrewerytours.com.au today.
So, are you ready to hop on?
Remember, always drink responsibly.
Neil off the spill, he might go for home. Let the superstars show you, boys. He just went fist and what a return that is. The crowd will rise for this. That's massive. Brandon Starcevic, high kick inside 50, and there's Jack Payne.
He hit his
knees. Oh my goodness.
Grabbed it straight away.
Bailey's about to hunt it down and nail it. Fletcher, put it in the book. Don't search for your car keys just yet, but it'll be to no avail. This could be a season changer for the Giants.
They say a bad kicking is a bad football, and for 2 weeks in a row, that has certainly proved to be one of our issues. It's certainly not the only one, but it really has been a bugbear of the Brisbane Lions over the last couple of weeks, for sure. It is the Brisbane Lions Fancast with JB and Patrick, thanks to Hop On Brewery Tours and Crisp Communications. Patrick, whilst the goal kicking was really quite bad and GWS's was really quite good, they seemed to save that for us. There was a lot more that was displeasing about this game, and to top it all off, a big blowout of a knee to Jack Payne, who was in career best form as well, which was a real shame, a real shame. So we'll have to have a chat about that later on in the show. We go down to the GWS Giants by 11 points in the end. Probably could have been more. We did sort of pull our finger out with the last 5 minutes and kick a couple of goals, and we sort of looked like we might pinch it there for a brief second, but it wasn't to be. How did you see this game?
I thought the game itself was pretty strange game. I thought it was quite a low pressure game, and I think of a low pressure game because I know that you're going to talk about the tackling, but of a low pressure game, we were on the lower end of it. But I don't think that it wasn't a contest and territory game. It was very much a one disposal out of centre clearance and fang the ball to Jesse Hogan from 70 metres out, and he will slot it. So
yes. Fags did touch on this in the press presence. It was not a stoppage game. Wasn't a game for high tackles. It was very much a transition game, and we let GWS have that transition game.
Yes, but I think also we definitely handled ourselves relatively well in the transition. I actually forgot to watch Fagan's press conference, so I didn't do my homework this week. So anything I say is not tied to that. So, but it is nice. He certainly.
Yeah, he certainly did lament the scoring opportunities. He mentioned it a number of times that 31 scoring shots should win you most matches. And apart from the fact that GWS was insanely accurate again, it is annoying him. You could tell it was annoying him, but there was a lot more to annoy people about this game. The defensive pressure, whilst it wasn't a game built for it, was still pretty lackluster. 9 players without a tackle, and we're going to talk about one in particular a little bit later on. I don't know, just smashed in the middle is probably the big one, considering GWS going into this game were 16th, like bottom 3 for, stoppages, clearances, contested possession, everything out of the middle. That was one area I thought we could probably try and get on top of them, and we certainly did not.
Yeah, that's probably one of the things I think in kicking a lot of scoring shots in the last couple of weeks. Has it kind of led to a bit of a false economy where we're we know that we're a good front half team, but we got slaughtered in clearance. So had a lot of those shots gone to goals, there's every opportunity that the score goes in a completely different direction. So that's a bit of a kind of strange thing. You're looking at a bit of a butterfly effect there. But I think, it's hard to read into these last couple of games where we've kicked a lot of behinds and gone, well, we've had the shots. Would we have had the shots if the ball's gone back into the middle? And maybe we would. Maybe it's a chance for them to, go to work and win clearance and things like that. But, it's a hard hypothetical to talk about. But I think, there were certain things that happened in the game. We can't have a settled forward line. It's just impossible. And we can't have, we've had a relatively settled back line, but,
That's obviously about to get a shake-up. So let's have a chat about the changes. In comes our man, Brandon Starcevic, probably a week earlier than was originally forecast, and what a welcome addition he was. I thought both he and Noah were great across the day, actually. Sammy Day comes back in as well. Ty Gallup, really unfortunate to get dropped for this one, I would have thought. We both spoke pretty highly of him last week and how we wanted him to get another game. So he played twos, and Dev was predictably dropped as well, which meant Kai Lohman went to the sub. And we'll have a chat about him and Charlie later on. Don't you worry, plenty of messages coming through about those two. So all in all, I thought the lineup looked settled. And obviously that just went out the door when Jack Payne blew his knee out and Eric Hipwood had to go and play as a key defensive post. And as it was, Aaron Cadman and Jesse Hogan, 11 goals between them. And Aaron Cadman seems to save his best footy for Brisbane as well, doesn't he?
Yeah, well, it is worth noting that they had kicked 4 goals, I think, between the two of them before that had happened. So it wasn't exactly like, we were looking particularly good in defence. It was, I love Jack Payne, and I'm really upset by his situation. But there was one where you kind of like, how does Hogan get 5 meters on you on the lead? Yeah. You're an athlete, and this guy's like, what was the message you said? An old timey pisshead. So
a no hoper pisshead, I think.
So we were getting turned around too easily, and I think it's just whether it's pressure on the ball or that sort of a thing. But at the same time, these shots were low percentage shots. But
we spoke about it last week, just their ability to hit shots from outside 50. And I had to look back at all GWS's games. 12 goals 8 against Richmond, 7-8 against Port, 10-13 against the Swans, 16-9, that's okay. 8-13 against the Dockers, 17-8 against Carlton, 15-14, 11-11, 20-12, 16-14, 12-9, 4 goals 10 against the Crows, and 10 goals 13 as well. But yet, come up against Brisbane, now why don't we just shoot it, 90% accuracy? Doesn't matter where we're taking the shots from. Get out of here.
Well, this was the thing. So Grasshopper, our stat monkey, because I said, what's the expected score? Because, an expected score is a flawed stat. I completely get that. And he said, or he put it up. And it was like they were at 30. The expected score was 32, and they'd kicked, I think, 8 goals. So 48. So they were 16 points above. And I said, that's bullshit. Their expected score is not 32. I'm like, four shots. I think it was at the time, it was 5 shots from 45 meters. I calculated this in real time with the Casio. 5 shots from outside 50, 1 from the boundary. Fair enough, Jesse Hogan had a 50-meter penalty, so kicked off the goal line. But even then, we've seen Joe Danaher miss those. So that's not even a 6 on my expected score metric. That's a 5.9. And then was it the little fella getting tackled out of stoppage?
Yeah.
And I'm like, their expected score is 16, and they're at 48. So you would expect them to kick 2 goals, fucking 6 from that. So, it kept them in the game. It kept them in the game for so long, and our kicking just kept them in the game. It was both. It was an absolute shit show on both sides where you're looking at it going, can one of them happen differently? And then the game will be wildly different. And if you want another stat, this is my one. 3/4 time in this game and 3/4 time in the Essendon-Geelong game, the teams had the same number of scoring shots. Essendon had 15, GWS had 15, we had 23, and Geelong had 24. So not exactly the same, but go with me here. We were down by, 2 points? And Essendon were down by 49 points.
Look, yes, obviously the kicking is it's obviously a huge pain in the dick. As Fague said in his post-match presser, we've lost 4 games now.
Did Fague say the kicking
it's a huge
is
pain in the dick?
I didn't see it, so you could tell me that, and I probably believe it.
What he did say is we've lost 4 games now, and 2 of them potentially one of them at the hands of bad kicking, and the second one against the Giants, bad kicking played a part. I'm not prepared to say, as last week, I said, you know what, I'm not too deflated about this loss because we played well. And bad kicking let us down, especially in that last quarter. You win some, you lose some, swings and roundabouts. This week I am a bit more deflated because of the way we played, especially getting hammered in the middle. That is probably, and the defensive intent just didn't seem to be there. What I will say is it was really good to have Brandon Starcevich back. He slotted right in. He didn't seem to be too nervous about putting his head in the hole, and he kicked a goal. How bloody good was that?
It was really good.
The other sort of strange thing that I noticed about the game, and I'm sure everyone else did, was Cammy Rayner getting a majority of his possessions off the half back until the last quarter, the last 10 minutes when it was panic stations. All right, throw him in the middle, throw him forward, see if we can get some impact there.
He made an impact.
He certainly did. I didn't mind that as a bit of a change to try and get Cammy Rayner back into the game a little bit, and his kicking was pretty good off the half back line. It was just a bit strange because obviously we tried Cam Rayner down half back a couple of years ago when he had that shaved head situation going on, and it lasted about 5 weeks and then it was never seen again until now.
Yeah, I think it was 3 weeks in the season, and then we played Collingwood and to kick 4 goals or whatever. But it wasn't the easiest game to kind of follow on television. I know that probably doesn't seem like it makes sense, but you can't see anything. Jasper went back up onto a wing, if I'm not mistaken. Himmelberg played on him, and there was, Jasper was really good, but there was a few moments where the size differential was, I wonder if that was something that they were looking for, because you look at it almost and go, well, why didn't we swap Jared Berry and have someone of similar bulk and kind of, that probably has a bit more running power than Himmelberg, but I thought Jasper was good. I mean, there was plenty of things that were pretty good. I mean, we'll go back to the Payne thing. So Payne, it looks like it's done. It's a
patella tendon. Yeah.
So I did a rudimentary amount of research, and that's not a good injury.
No,
in the sense that it's probably worse than an ACL. From there's arguments either way that it actually has a longer recovery time, so there's more time off your feet. I think Jaeger O'Meara had one of those, and by certain accounts, that he was never the same player. So, shit. We don't want that, but
it sucks. He seems to get struck down with something anytime he starts really finding his form and playing decent footy, and this was arguably career best form at the moment. And you just knew as soon as it happened, as soon as he landed and it sort of like sprung back up and he immediately grabbed that knee, you just knew this is not good.
No, well, there was a lot of swelling in the top of his knee, really, bulge. I don't know if you were talking about me, but you comes positivity. The Gabba Medicos did an awful job of that. They made a mess. The guy's sitting there clearly in need of a green whistle, and you've got Old Love with the medical pack, just Sunday stroll across the field. It's like, run. Like, have a better system for what's going on. It kind of, I don't know, if anyone watches or has watched the Grand Prix ever, there's a crash in Monaco, those marshals are so quick to get the car off the road and continue the thing. But in some of these newer tracks, Abu Dhabi or, they take like 10 laps to move a car 1 foot off the track. It's like, come on, guys, let's get to work. So that one, it hit me wrong. Didn't like it. And then when they couldn't find I was like, this is, yes, I agree. Like, full attention to the injured guy, but get there quick. Get him off the field because he's not having a great time.
And don't try and get him down the stairs.
Yeah, and don't strap him onto the gurney on his knee.
On his knee, yeah.
So yeah, Eric went back.
Yeah, he wasn't awful. Like, he certainly had his moments, and like, obviously Brown kicked a couple on him. Cadman obviously had his way, but I thought by and large Eric, under the circumstances, wasn't awful.
No, it was fine, but it's it's not a first defender. He's fine on the old late spoil, but he also got capped by Cadman, and I mean their key forwards kicked 13 goals or 14 goals or something, so not a great afternoon. Can we get Callum Brown to our club? I like that guy a lot, and he seems to be back after having killed that Sydney guy, where he got that 5-week suspension or whatever, and then he just stopped playing football for the rest of the year. So I like him. Get him in.
Interesting that Bedford wasn't doing a job on anyone in the middle. He sort of started on Zorko, and Noah ended up going to Bedford, and both him and Stas, as I said, were really good, those small defenders. And, in games where we have struggled, Noah has really been one of the few that has consistently sort of tried all day and done his job and done it well. So I thought he was really good. Games against the Giants before where Bedford, Daniels, Darcy Jones have got a hold of us and sort of torn away. Wasn't the case today. Obviously, Daniels went down with like 4 different injuries at once. It was so weird. It's like he went down with a corked butt, and then he was grabbing for his back, and then he went down with an abdominal. It was all sorts of weird. So that sub was made.
Obviously, a car crash on the way to the game,
and obviously our sub was made pretty quickly, and Kyle Lohman had to come in and left us pretty small up forward. But I didn't mind it. It meant that one of the big talking points of the game is Logan Morris with and it's going to get lost because obviously Hogan kicked 6, Cadman kicked 5, but Logan Morris with his first 5-goal bag, really, really, really good.
Yeah, it was funny to see him, more than once beating Sam Taylor in a one-on-one. I'm led to believe by all of the media that Sam Taylor has never lost a one-on-one history of the universe, despite the fact that Joe Danaher got him, multiple times. He never loses a one-on-one. It's like, he does. And he got done by an 18-year-old. So sucked in, dude. Any other given day, Logan Morris would be getting all of the praise. He's got a bit of shithousery to him, Logan Morris. He looks like he would be a bit of a difficult teammate at times, but sometimes he's just got to ride that level of, I suppose, the teetering arrogance, which is fine. If you're kicking 5 goals, that's okay. He had a good game. He could have kicked more because there's a sort of situation at the end of the game where you're going, well, he's rushing that kick to try and get us to, at least he had the wherewithal to go, well, maybe I need to pull my socks up and go. Some of the other blokes are taking 30 seconds and missing.
You're not talking about Callum Archie, are you?
And Cam Rayner.
Yeah. Look, the damage was done at that point. Like, yes, we had a sniff at the end there to try and get something, but whatever. It's not going to get any easier next week, that's for sure. Let's have a chat about those small forwards. Charlie Cameron, Kyle Lohman. Obviously, we'll have a chat about this again when it comes to team changes, but one of them is out for me. I don't particularly care which one, but Will McLaughlin is coming in. Obviously, he's kicked 6 today in the VFL, which only helps his case, and a number of players in the VFL put in big games, which they needed to do when pressure's on for spots, and maybe a few openings are going to be there, especially down back. But up forward, we can't carry both of them if they're underperforming.
No, and I think the difference between this year's Charlie Cameron and last year's Charlie Cameron is that although his output is probably similarly not great, his man wasn't impacting the game. This year, his man is impacting the game. So you're not going, well, it's a 0-0 draw. Yeah. Iden was fantastic, but he was also really good getting them out of defense and starting those 15 goals, 13 goals in the back half. Not that he did all of them, but when you can rely on that, and it was almost like he wasn't up for the fight.
Yeah.
He was like, okay, I can't beat this guy. He's bigger, he's stronger, he's faster than me. And he gave up. Not a tackle.
Yeah.
And when you have the team moving the ball from the back half and scoring, 11? It was like 13 goals, wasn't it? 11, 12, 13? From the back half, and, your small forwards, two of them that pride themselves on pressure, laid one tackle between them. It's like, it's a bit like before the grand final last year where we needed more defending first defenders, which is where Noah came in. We need ground ball contest forwards. So they're man, I wish Link McCarthy was all right.
I know. And it's like, fine, you can't be, like, if you're not going to be doing the defensive stuff, if you're not running, if you're not chasing, if you're not applying pressure, if you're not, taking your direct opponent out of the game, then you need to be hitting the scoreboard. And at the moment, then neither of them are doing either. So, yes, Kai Lohmann clearly has confidence issues. He doesn't trust his body. He's not willing to put himself in the positions he was last year because he's been, his ankle's been done. His collarbone's been crunched again. It's a mental thing, I think. He's just not willing to put himself in harm's way or exude that physicality. So we need someone to come in and whether that's Darcy Craven, Will McLaughlin, both, I don't know. But like I said, we can't be carrying both of these guys at the moment.
We had the people's changes after the GWS game last week.
That's right, yes.
The famous people's changes. What is it with GWS?
Yep.
I don't think it'll quite be the people's changes, but there's a wish list. We're just a bit thin on who's on it. So
yeah.
But yeah, to paint a picture of the game, otherwise it was shit. Don't watch it again, and we lost.
There was definitely some good moments. I thought Lockie Neal's first half was pretty good. He sort of tapered towards it. I thought McCluggage, or if you're Dwayne Russell, McGluggage, I thought his game was pretty good across the day. Will Ashcroft had some moments. Defensively, he was really, really poor. Levi is one of the players who didn't register a tackle, and that was his 6th game without laying a single tackle. So he looks like he's due for a rest, and I know we've got the bye around the corner. I wouldn't mind if he was dropped to a sub or even dropped out of the team for someone like I don't want to say Dev, Jimmy Tunstall, Sam Marshall, someone.
McKenna.
I doubt that one's going to happen. There's nothing against Levi. He's having a great season. Defensively, he's less accountable than I would obviously like. And I think both of those Ashcroft boys need to spend, some time with Josh Dunkley about being a well-rounded bloody player. That's fine. That's neither here nor there, really. Well, mouth guards in at the training.
Get the mouth guards out. Even I've got one, and I haven't played footy for 5 years or whatever.
The other big issue that is starting to get louder and louder is this Oscar McInerney situation. Now, he played a game in the twos today, got through it, played really well, dominated the ruck, moved up forward. But this back issue. Now, we re-signed Darcy Fort early on this year, gave him an extra year. We've since been sniffing around Sam Draper and now Riley O'Brien we've been linked to. Apparently this back issue is not serious, but apparently it's pretty degenerative and looking like it's going to get worse before it gets better. So we are really apparently looking for the heir apparent in the ruck stocks, because this very well could be Oscar's last year.
I don't quite know what to say to that.
It sucks because everyone loves Oscar. Everyone loves Oscar. You know, even fans of other footy teams love Oscar McInerney and everything he's about. But yeah, this is starting to be a little bit weird, and you know they've been pretty coy about it. You know, he's not been on the injury list. He's been emergency for the last 3 weeks. He obviously played twos this week, and Fague said, "Look, we just need to see how his body responds getting through a game." So his back issue's no good.
Do you think because someone said, hey, there was a bit of a kind of roundtable discussion about it where they were like, there were people saying this is being handled really poorly. And if it was another club and there'd been this level of non-questions or non-explanation, they'd be dragged over the coals. Do you think there's a chance that Oscar McInerney doesn't really want whatever's going on and the full extent to get out, and it's not so much a club thing?
I think it's a bit of both.
Because I think that would be a perfectly reasonable explanation. If I was like struggling with something that was, you said it's a degenerative back issue potentially.
That's sort of whispers I'm hearing is that this back issue is degenerative and it's just going to get worse.
It could be a hereditary thing. It could be like
it could be all sorts.
There's infinite levels of speculation you can give, and maybe he's just like, I don't want every person to know what's going on because maybe he is having a difficult time coming to terms with it or something like that. So yeah. I don't want to say the club's handled it poorly, and I know you're not asking me to say that, but I think if people are thinking that, they need to kind of look at the human element of football as well, because that's very much a factor, and it's a big factor of our club and a big factor of how we won a premiership last year. So the human element is something that people need to not forget, and that's where, you know, swings and roundabouts. The situation with Charlie Cameron can be so difficult because you're going, well, it's a human person, but they're not performing. They haven't been performing for 2 and a bit years, or 2 years, give or take. But
yeah, it's worrying. It's worrying, this Oscar situation, because he's been battling admirably, and I thought he was pretty good on the weekend. But when he comes up against those big dominant rucks, that's where he falls short. Like, you know, Tristan Cherry, Max Gawn. You know, others are going to towel him up a little bit. Like, even Riley O'Brien got the better of him last week.
Riley O'Brien's such a weird ruckman. Like, we have a decent amount of for he's kind of the most ego of all of the. Man, that guy has a weird kicking style. I'll tell you what, the 2-hand place is so weird. I think O'Brien is the most similar to O. Must be an O
definitely.
thing. They're both awkward, and they look like that you would come out of the game just feeling sore. You'd be like, oh, they're pointy and stuff, and they're like, who's the fella that like crushes the animals in their hand accidentally?
Lenny from Mice and Men.
Yeah, they kind of give off a bit of that. So I don't know what that has to do with anything, but they just seem to be clumsy. Clumsy is what I'm looking for. So.
Yeah, look, I think fingers crossed that it does all pan out, but the fact that we're sort of actively sniffing around other, you know, number one ruckman of clubs it's all pointing in one direction. So it is a worry, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, you've now just injected more worry where there need not or wasn't worry before, because you don't prime me on this sort of stuff. So, question.
Yeah.
So in that game, Whitfield had 33. Did we not think to maybe put time into him the same way we put time into him in the first one? Or did he just take all 18 of their kickouts and he actually only got 15 touches?
There's probably an element of yes, but because Lockie Ash took a fair amount of kickouts as well. The thing that probably annoyed me about the kickouts in particular is we just let them run 20 metres before they kick the ball out and inevitably kick to a contest where Jesse Hogan or Cadman would mark it. That was annoying, is that we just let them have that extra 20, 25 metres.
There was a lot of annoying, but there was definitely some annoying in going, oh, they've got a player free. And it's Kelly. Oh, cool. He's a really good kick. And now they got a mark.
Yep.
And you're like, okay, so they've also got a spare behind the ball. Where's our players? Do they not count? Like, have they got 5 on the bench? What's happening? Are they confused?
Yeah, there was plenty of stuff to be annoyed about with that game. Plenty of stuff to be annoyed about.
Do you want to do some votes?
Yeah, let's do some votes. Thanks to Hop on Brewery Tours. Book yourself a half or a full day tour across Brisbane or Gold Coast. Explore some of Queensland's best breweries at hoponbrewerytours.com.au. 3 for me is fairly obvious. Logan Morris gets the 3. I am going to give Jack Payne 1 vote because I have neglected to give him votes this year. And even though this was, even before he got injured, probably one of his poorer games, he's had a really good year and he's clearly not going to get any more votes this year. So he gets 1. And the 2 was a real struggle. Zorko was pretty good across the day, but McCluggage gets my 2.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm giving Logan Morris 3. I'm giving Starcevic 2 because that big bald head can be on my TV screen anytime, and I'm better for it. And Day gets my 1.
Day, yeah. Let's have a chat about Sammy Day. Obviously missing, I don't know if he sat out the full 6 weeks with that hamstring, but it would have been close to 5-6 weeks. Came straight back in. He was good.
Yeah, I think both ends of the field were obviously disrupted by the Payne situation. And I think that there's plenty of times where Hipwood's so integral in kind of the structure of that forward line. But yeah, I just thought that Day was pretty important. And there weren't a lot of people that were particularly great, but he competed really well in the ruck. He took marks. His hands were really good, and his kind of ground ball gets and second efforts were really good.
Yeah.
And I think that second efforts are something that can be learned, and they need to be focused on in the review, because there was one time, I can't remember what it was, but it was they kicked the ball somewhere and their bloke went up to take the mark and it got spoiled, hit the deck. The guy that took the mark then got the ground ball and handballed it, and then got the ball back and then kicked it. And it was probably Iden. It wasn't like a nippy ground ball dude. It was like a big fella that was in it. So I'm like, how can that guy have 4 efforts and no one gets near him in a tundra of players? I don't know. So, yeah. But I still think we did enough and should have won the game.
Yeah, you're right. Whatever. I don't know what more
let's move on.
It was because, I mean, aside from the fact that last year we got out to a 5-goal lead nice and early, there were so many similarities between this game and last year's game at the Gabba against the Giants where, they were just insanely accurate, come from behind, similar problems.
The other thing that ticked me off was as soon as they decided at the end of or in the fourth quarter that they were like, yeah, shit, we're in the lead here. Let's turn this into a stoppage game. It immediately turned into a stoppage game. They could just dictate the pace however they wanted to. And that's what we needed to do, is just lock the ball in and get some repeat stoppages and just like grind the game out a little bit, slow it down, because all of their high possession getters are just like Ash, Iden, Kelly, Whitfield, Callahan. Like they're all guys that come from the back and do their best work with the ball looking forward. So we did not, I think we probably went into that one a little bit like we thought it would be easy.
I don't know about that. Like,
that's probably a bit strong. Sorry, I'll retract that. But
whereas other games against, West Coast, Richmond, North, Melbourne probably at the time, Essendon, we probably have thought that this is going to be walkover. I think that we are just limping to the bye at this point in time, I think.
Yeah, we are. Did
We got one more game to go before that.
Yeah, and what a game. Their big fella didn't play, did he, Briggs? They had that guy that looked like the Liverpool captain. Madden.
Yeah.
He was pretty handy.
Yeah, he did a few nice things. His follow-up work was pretty good.
Good for them.
Yeah, good for them.
The Brisbane Lions Fancast is proud to announce we have our first run of T-shirts available for you to buy. The website to check that one out is ours, brisbanelionsfancast.com.au, and you can see the link right there. Should be towards the top of the page. We've got 6 shirts at the moment. We are going to be looking to expand that range over the next couple of months, and we are certainly welcome to feedback and suggestions of things that you do want to see, and we can hopefully make that happen for you. But for now, 6 shirts available for you, brisbanelionsfancast.com.au. We would appreciate any support in what you may be able to afford and help keep the show running and rep our merch as well, because it's our first time doing this and we're very excited about the prospect of seeing these shirts in and around the Gabba and out in the streets. So brisbanelionsfancast.com.au. Get your hands on some Brisbane Lions Fancast merch.
All right, let's have a chat about the twos, because there is plenty to talk about there, and then, in effect, talk about some potential team changes. Now, the twos absolutely belted the Giants today at Brighton Homes Arena. Interesting that Darcy Gardner was withdrawn from the squad. So originally named in the forward pocket, he was withdrawn, which tells us that he's probably going to be taking Jack Payne's spot next week, because as Fags mentioned in the post-match presser when he was asked about Tom Duday, he said, look, there's going to be a 5-day turnaround because we're playing on Friday night. So whoever's going to be playing, if they're playing tomorrow, it's going to be a 5-day turnaround. So Darcy Gardner being withdrawn from the squad tells me he is front and center to take that spot. Having said that,
he will 100% play.
Yeah.
Gardner will play.
Duday played well today, really well, got through the game, was one of the best on. Dev Robb was amazing today, 36 touches, 8 clearances, 9 tackles, complete game from Dev today. Will McLaughlin, the other one, as I said, 6 goals, 3 is not a bloody bad day out at all. Connor McKenna was really good today as well. Sticks Ryan, he had a great game, not much to talk about there, really. Reveal was really good. Jimmy Tunstall, everyone was pretty good in a game where you win by 85 points. I was sort of particularly keeping an eye out on those key backs. So Darragh Joyce, Tom Duday, Luke Lloyd was playing down back as well. And of course, Daniel Annabelle, who the Academy kid, played another game today as well. He was really good, 19 touches, 1 goal, 3 for him. Semi Marshall was pretty good today as well. So, and Gallup was okay. I thought Shadow Brain actually had a really good game today across the halfback. So, Darcy Gardner is probably going to take that spot. And as I said, I am dropping Charlie or Kai. I don't particularly care which one, but Will McLaughlin's coming in.
I think I just don't. I think Loman's got more upside at this point in time than Charlie. And I know I've been a big supporter of the idea of Charlie can, but there's only so much you can stands, and I can't stands no more here. It's frustrating.
I think it's literally the point that we've got 2 of them at the moment, and Kai did one really good thing where he laced the ball out to Cal Archie, like right on the chest, and Cal Archie fumbled the mark. He worked up the ground a little bit. But yeah, if I'm dropping one, it probably is Charlie at this point in time. And maybe you just drop him. You don't even play him too, so you just drop him.
Yeah, you could give him a stint. And that's what I said a few weeks ago when I was talking about how some players, I don't think Charlie Cameron, I don't think it's like it's not like a lack of humility thing, but I don't think him playing in the twos will do him actual good. I mean, maybe him having time off would more so.
Yeah. I mean, maybe him playing on a lesser opponent, maybe him playing his trade in the 2 and actually working on defensive pressure and getting some confidence in front of goals. Maybe it would actually, but I don't know.
Do you want to know funny thing that I've just realised here? Will McLaughlin, 0 tackles.
Fine. 6 goals, 3 though. As I said, you can't do one. You can't do both bad. You have to do one or the other. At least Will McLaughlin's hitting the scoreboard.
Yeah, I know. I jest.
But yeah, no, I do understand what you're saying there. So, yeah.
I think also as well, given the games in Geelong, his family's in Colac, I think it would.
Yeah.
So
makes sense.
I would be. I'm a very very strong supporter of bringing him. I spoke to my friend who works with like his cousin or whatever, parents or whatever, and I'm like, he couldn't remember his name when he was telling me. He's like, yeah, some guy is like playing for the. This was back when he made his debut. He's like, some guy's playing now, and I said, yeah, we need Jack. What's his name back in the team? He's like, oh, Will McLaughlin, and I was like, oh, you remembered. Good for you. So,
Nice.
Doesn't care at all about footy. So good. Yes. So Payne out, Gardner in. One of the culprits out, McLaughlin in.
Yeah. And I wouldn't hate it if Levi was dropped for... I wouldn't mind Dev getting a full game of footy just to see. Like, I know it's probably redundant in the end because he's not going to be on the list next year. Yeah, there's that word that you used for him last week. Or Connor McKenna. But I think maybe we were probably a bit too... We've got that amount of halfbacks and he's been playing forward in the twos, so probably a bit... Yeah, actually, maybe McKenna. McKenna in for Levi. I don't think that one's going to happen, but why not?
Would you lose your mind if it would play in defence and Gardner was playing as a forward this week?
Would I lose my mind? No. Would I think this is ridiculous? Yes. But at the end of the day, like my hopes for next week are 0.
Because someone did say, at the time, Hipwood, I think, had taken a couple of set marks on the Discord, and he didn't take marks on the Discord, but on the Discord, someone said, I don't mind Hipwood behind the ball. And I said, this could lead to a very fun forward line triad of Day and the kids, of just Day and Gallup and Logan Morris. That's this weird, like, the two little Rudigers and the old man, which I think is funny, but I also want to win football games. And I don't know whether that wouldn't or would, but I'm leaning more towards wouldn't at this point in time. But I do think that our forward line is well and truly the focal point is Logan Morris now, and I think that's totally fine.
Yep.
So, yes, Gardner in. And, we all know that I like to say we match up quite well on insert team, but I think we actually match up quite well on Geelong.
Yeah. Their midfield's obviously a little bit different with the addition of Bailey Smith. Max Holmes has been playing really, 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 really good footy this year. I think.
Do you reckon forward, Max Holmes looks like Darcy Fort's son?
A little bit, yeah.
Like, because Darcy Fort always strikes me as looking like a science teacher or something.
Yes. Like
if you had a substitute science teacher walk in and it was like, "Hello, Mr. Fort," he'd know his periodic table so well.
And quick shout out to Darcy Fort, by the way. I thought he was really good on the weekend. Like, not just his work in the ruck, but around the grounds. I thought he was really good.
Yeah, he's putting together a good stint, which is what we need.
Yes.
Yes. Ollie Henry can't seem to get a game for Geelong at the moment, which I think they'll do something. They'll look at what's happened, look at the Gardner thing, and I mentioned earlier on, I said, okay, who's the guy that's now the chief writer of the Herald's son? Jay Clark? Jay Clark, yeah. Tell me you've never watched a Lions-Geelong game without telling me you've never watched a Lions-Geelong game. He's talking about the knee and he goes, Gardner looks like he'll come in and he'll get Jeremy Cameron. Don't be stupid. And it's like, dude, are you this inept that you don't know that Ryan Lester's played on Jeremy Cameron in the last 5 games at least and kept him goalless in more of them than not? It's like, does my head in.
I am glad we've got Stas back with a game under his belt for this one, and Noah, because obviously Close, Stengel.
Well, I'd be sending Stas to Dangerfield. So I'd be going Harris on Shannon Neal, Lester on the guy that I just said, Cameron.
Yeah.
Starts on Dangerfield, and then let Noah, Zorko, and Wilmot sort out Close, Stengel, and Myers.
Yeah.
And then it leaves Gardner there because, Scott he'll pull a fast one. He'll either name Ollie Henry or put Blitzars as a forward. He'll do some shit like that.
Well, I didn't watch a huge amount of the Geelong Essendon game, but I know De Koning went down with Hammy, potentially. I don't know if he's going to be playing next week, but Blitzar sort of filled that spot. So I do agree with you. We do match up one-on-one. Like, obviously, Fletcher played that role on Dempsey last year in the prelim really, really well. So that's a nice little matchup there. Obviously, Dunkley will go to Bailey Smith, you'd have to think. After his 41 touches against the Dons. And then they'll have Mullen or Mark O'Connor, who's done the job on Neil before. That'll probably be a run with role there as well. That forward line, whatever that looks like this week, because it's never the fucking same. Will have their work cut out for them against their back line. But, I mean, the way the Cats are playing at the moment, everything is in their favour. It's Paddy Dangerfield's 350th game. We got him in the prelim last year. We won with the comeback, come from behind victory earlier this year. They are going to be that bloody ginned up for this game. It's not funny.
Well, according to Paddy Dangerfield, they won. He's like, I'm just going to go down the Gold Coast.
Piss off.
Yeah, I know. He's so disingenuous the way he talks. Like, I'll be down in Torquay and you guys can have your stuff. It's like, that guy will be circling the peninsula, kissing babies all week. And I will not be here for it. I mean, whatever. We can beat them. We just need to beat them.
Yeah,
but they're scary.
But it's immensely scary. As I said last week, this game scares the shit out of me. I'm giving us less than 10% chance, if I'm perfectly honest, with our form, with Geelong's form, with all those factors I just mentioned to sort of add the emotional fuel to this game. It's not looking good for us, but who knows? I probably, I didn't think we were a chance against Hawthorn as well, so maybe this is the sort of game that we'll inexplicably get up for, and it'll make me feel good leading into the bye.
Well, hopefully we don't even up the ledger of you tipping the Lions, so...
Yeah, look, we'll see. We will see. It's going to be a tough game. It's going to be a bloody tough game. Having said that, let's have a quick look at tipping for this round. And
by the way, I let you talk me out of tipping the Bulldogs by like 90 points or 80 points or whatever. And yeah, thanks. I should just not ever listen to you.
So far, there's still a game in hand with Carlton at the moment beating West Coast by 46 points. I'm set to get 6 because I tipped Brisbane. That's the only one I've got wrong.
Yep, I'm the same.
All right, well, let's have a look to next week then.
Just to touch on that one, did you see the Walrus of Waverley get 2 of the tackles of the year on him in one game?
I did say that.
The rundown and then the Mitch Hinge meat hook clothesline, which I enjoyed so much.
Very good.
The best thing about that Hawthorn-Adelaide game was Adelaide kind of... It was funny at the time. It's not funny now. But I was able to go for Adelaide and then still see Hawthorn win and get my tip. So that was good. Okay.
Thursday night, Optus Stadium, Freo Essendon. This is a rare treat for Freo where they haven't had to leave Perth for a couple of weeks.
Okay, I have another question. Another question. Sorry, I'm going to derail this. But so North Melbourne playing Fremantle. Is this not tanking? Where you're a low-down team and you're selling a game that you might, because Fremantle are famously garbage travellers, and you sell it back to them and then lose in a tight game.
I don't think surely it wasn't going to, you didn't think it was going to be that tight.
No, but I'm saying that if you went Fremantle versus North Melbourne, Tasmania or whatever, you'd go, yeah, there's a chance.
Short answer is no. I don't think it's tanking, and I'm not entertaining anymore of your tinfoil hat gear.
No with a but, yes with a if, or whatever it is.
Yeah. Well, I'm tipping Freo by 34.
34, hey? 42, that's what the finger laid on.
Okay. I am tipping Geelong to beat us at GMHBA for Paddy Dangerfield's 350th game.
I will not be doing that.
I do respect your loyalty. Carlton North Melbourne, yes, Carlton should win that game of football at the MCG Saturday 1:20.
Yes.
Port Adelaide, Sydney. Big win for Port today against the D's. They were pretty good. They've had a couple of good weeks, and they
will continue to have a good week.
You think so? Oh, God, Sydney, what has happened to them? Collingwood to beat St Kilda. Giants and the Suns at NG.
NG's the week off. Oh, NG's the normal one?
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I kind of want to tip Gold Coast, but I won't at the moment.
I think I will, actually. Because I was reading somewhere today that Toby Green still may be not good. And if we can't beat him, I hope the Suns do. Yeah. Well.
I like that we kind of had the same thought, but the opposite versions of it, where it's like, if we can't, no one can. And you're like, if we can't, I hope you do.
Yeah. And then the Dogs should beat Richmond. Sam Darcy, straight back from a broken knee. No issues. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, why can't we get freak injuries that are just like a broken knee and the guy comes back in like 3 weeks and is fine?
You know, I did think that briefly when Jack Payne went down because I thought, oh, you know what? ACL, sometimes they even walk off. This guy wasn't. Maybe it's not an ACL. Maybe it is just a fractured knee and he'll be fine in 6 weeks. That was just me lying to myself.
I'm first pick this time.
Yeah, we are. It's time for the wheel. It's time for the Crisp Communications Wheel of the Week. crispcoms.co if you need any marketing. If you've got a podcast or your own, Abby and the team, we'll sort you out. Last week was an absolute walkover where you got Jason Ackermanis and I got Margot Paparone. Yikes. So let's spin the wheel, see what pops up, and you can... Actually, no, it's my turn to pass or hold because you left me with Marco.
That's correct.
Oh, Jed Adcock. This is a tough one because there's a fair amount of arguments to be made for Jed Adcock. Do I want to hold on Jed Adcock?
I think you do.
I think I do, but then, what if you get someone good?
Yeah, but Jed Adcock's kind of in that, like, B tier. And there's a lot below B.
All right, I'm going to hold on Jed Adcock. I'm going to hold, and I'm going to watch you spin up a premiership player. Oh, you got Squizzy Taylor. Yes, I'm glad I held. All right, well, one of them's got a medal, so put it that way.
One of them got one over on the Bont.
That's crazy when you think about it, isn't it?
It's literally insane.
A lot of people thought it was crazy at the time, but you could sort of justify it because Squizzy Taylor played every game and he was in a shit team and it was actually pretty good. The Bont's gone on to be arguably the best player in the competition for the last 5-6 years. All right, let's have a chat about Jed Adcock, heart and soul player in a time where we didn't have any heart and soul players. Captain of the club. Fairly good-looking rooster, I would have thought, Jed Adcock. Then went to play 7 games or something for the Bulldogs. And now he's sitting in the coach's box beside Alistair Clarkson, doing his bit there after coaching with us for 3 or 4 years, maybe. Probably close to that.
Yeah, it was a fair amount of time. And there was a fair amount of stuff that, as a coach, I wasn't super happy about, but that's all right.
I mean, you're not alone there.
Yeah. Let's not talk about that Melksham game. Yeah, he was all right. He was perfectly serviceable, I think. Do you have any memories of him? He was part of that Miracle on Grass chain.
He was. He certainly was part of that chain as well. Yeah, he had and
Got to get up, Adcock, I think was.
That's right.
Words.
Didn't have to. Just dished the handball off to Dane Zorko when he's sitting on his rear end.
That was actually because I watched that again after Max Gawn munged the ball last week, where they had 39 seconds to get the ball from one end to the game, King's birthday last week. And it was like 14 seconds across the field. That it's, and I admittedly I do like the way that Hutto's kind of, as he's saying, he's like, "Come on, big fella, you gotta go." Like that was quite good. So he's part of that. It's good. Anything else about Louis Taylor?
I mean, Louis Taylor.
Sorry, Jed Adcock. Sorry.
Not particularly. Just, I don't know. Seems like a good fella. Never actually had the chance to meet him, but as I said, heart and soul player in a time where we really needed as much as we could. I think he was drafted 2004, so really missed all of the good times and just got stuck with a big hump of shit in the middle there. And I remember, was it Essendon? A game against Essendon, maybe 2015. I'm just throwing numbers out here. And he was pretty instrumental in getting the win there. I think he kicked 2, maybe 3 goals in the back half to get us a win there, where wins were really, really, really hard to come by. Other than that, not a huge amount to say about Jed Adcock. A fairly good football player that just got stuck at a club in a bad time.
Well, in fairness, he got to experience the Bulldogs premiership as a squad member, so
that's pretty good.
That's something. It would have been a fun party, one can assume.
Yeah. All right, now Squizzy Taylor.
Yeah. He played for the team until we got good, and then he didn't play anymore. And that's kind of.
Then he went to Sydney and didn't play for them.
Didn't play at all. When
I think he got a couple of games.
He got 12 games, something like that. He got subbed in a bunch of them. But yeah, he was ever present in some pretty bad times. Obviously, he won that thing. He would not survive in this current 15-meter crackdown era of the game.
I don't think he'd kick further than 25.
No.
With the wind behind him.
I do remember one game where he had kicked quite a lot of goals and he dribbled one into the post, and Fagan wanted to tear him a new one despite the fact it was like one of our few wins. Might have been against Fremantle or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, he wore his socks up. That's cool. I like that. We all know that
he got Squizzy tattooed on his forearm in big letters. Thoughts on that? Because that's obviously obviously shit house.
Like, maybe people can let us know if they. But I don't think that getting dickhead tattooed on my arm would be an idea, given that's probably my nickname. It only would have been better or worse if he got it done in Chinese, but I don't know if Chinese for Squizzy. So
I wouldn't have thought so.
Be a bit Carl Pilkington there, like. Yeah. That's all I got to say about Lewis Taylor.
Yeah. Fair shout. All right, Friday night, 7:40 at GMHBA Stadium, Paddy Dangerfield's 350th game. We are taking on the Cats. It is going to be an absolute uphill battle, as we've said. Are you heading along to this one?
Can't get tickets.
Fair shout.
It's bloody... I told you. He spitefully... I'm assuming Dangerfield has some sort of weird brain thing where it's like, oh, people are talking shit about me. It's going in my brain. And then he gets alerted to what it was. And then he goes, well, I'm going to do a hamstring to line up my 350th just so I miss the only game I could go for. So screw that guy. And I want to ruin his party.
Yep. I'm not looking forward to it, but I will be.
Embrace the game. I get that it's been a bit of a terrible time, but, what's the point of being a good team if it's just fearful and horrible the whole time?
Yeah. No, you're right. I'll sit there and watch it, and I will inevitably be disappointed if we do lose. And I'll be over the moon if we somehow pinch a win there. So it's all to be seen on Friday night. Before we go, we had a bit of an off-air chat about this and something we thought we might talk about on the show today. And I can imagine a lot of people, as soon as they hear what we're going to chat about, are going to say, nah, I'm not going to listen to this. Caroline Wilson, AFL journalist, has obviously been in the news the last week and a bit, 2 weeks, about her reporting for Nasiah Wanganeen-Milera, and he doesn't want to go to Adelaide because Tex Walker did the thing back in 2021. So far, both Wanganeen-Milera, his manager, and Tex Walker have all gone, you what, mate? Like, what? Mitch Robinson's come out and slammed Caro Wilson. A lot of people have said, what is this bird doing? What an idiot. What I will say is all my years of being a footy nuffy and absorbing as much footy media as possible, and Footy Classified was my favourite footy program to watch, and Agenda Setters is probably one of my favourite ones at the moment as well. She is very rarely wrong about these sort of things, and the fact that she is sticking by this so staunchly tells me that she's probably right about this one as well. I remember whenever Sam Mitchell took over as Hawks coach, she called that everything, how that unfolded. Alistair Clarkson's going to go. He's going to go earlier than he says. Sam Mitchell's going to take over. This is all going to happen. And she got slammed for that as well at the time. And it all unfolded exactly how she said it was going to happen. I have a feeling she's probably on the money with this one as well.
Say what you want about her, which I know you just have, but I'm talking listener. Yeah, she's not wrong about this sort of stuff. Her opinions and things that she's talking about can be sometimes they can miss the mark. Same with everybody. Like, my opinions are garbage sometimes. Your opinions are insane sometimes, Brooksy. And hers sometimes they're not great opinions. But she doesn't get these things wrong. And, there's an element of anonymity to the sources that she has. And she's actually named the sources, and they've kind of come together to go like, no, that's not what's happening. But to me, it seems like a bit of a PR thing to go, well, hey, we don't want it to come off as not supportive of this or whatever. But if she's dying on this hill, like Occam's razor says, what's the most obvious thing? Like, she's not going to tank her career over a St Kilda guy going to Adelaide.
Yeah.
So she's right. And they're just playing catch up and backpedaling. People give her a really bad rap. If she was a bloke in the media, she would not be challenged nowhere near as hard. She carries herself in a way that is abrasive, and I understand that. But that is, she's born out of. Yeah, you before we came on, you said she had to because this is a male-dominated industry, and I think for the first woman to do football write-ups in the Melbourne media, she probably deserves a bit more respect than what she gets.
Took me. I mean, there's plenty of. Don't get me wrong. There's plenty of AFL journalists that are male that cop their shit as well. Like Tom Morris, Sam McClure. I can't think of a single person that likes those guys. I mean, Mitch Cleary very rarely gets things wrong as well, and people hate on him. Damien Barrett is probably one of the most hated AFL journalists, but he's very rarely wrong as well. But Caro is usually on the money. It may be one of those things that we never really find out the truth, because if he ends up going to Port Adelaide, because Jason Horne-Francis is there and Jace Burgoyne, who he's good friends with, he never really has to address it and say, oh yeah, it's because Tex Walker said the thing back in 2021. He never really has to confirm it. And all it's done is put him under a bunch of pressure. It's put Tex Walker under a bunch of pressure as well. And Caro said on Agenda Setters, she's like, that is my regret, is that it's put these two people under immense pressure and scrutiny because of the reporting I've done, but like, I'm not backing down from it. Like, I know what I know.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm trying to envision. I've had a stroke now. I'm trying to picture a world where, for whatever reason, the showdown was at Heat, and he drops it before a showdown. By the way, had the chance, but you're a bunch of racists, so came to Port. That would be amazing. But yeah, it's not great for him. Tex Walker, I don't really care about, because when you revisit what happened in 2021, you go, it was completely, it's like I walked into another universe where I was like, hold on, it was at a Sandford game and he wasn't even playing, and it was at halftime what? I don't remember this happening at all. And I was like, that's horrible. Why did he do that? Like, there's
and
no
then that
reason.
weird public apology where he's sitting...
Oh, yeah, the pat on the back. And
it was all so strange.
But don't get me wrong, there's definitely an element of when they initially broke the story and they showed like Eddie Maguire talking to Tex on Channel 9 prior to Gather Round, they're clearly throwing shade at Channel 9 by airing that and going, it was set up in a way that made Tex look like a dickhead and like he was a sympathetic party in all of this. And it's like, let's give it up for Tex. And she's like, no, let's not give it up for Tex. I'm like, that is comedic genius. By Caro, but yeah, not a good situation. But I don't think that. Yeah, it's a strange hill to die on, which is why I don't think that she's wrong.
And we may or may not find out in the next little bit or ever. As I said, it might be one of those ones that just sort of never really has to see the light of day, or maybe 20 years after Nasiah Wanganeen-Malira is retired, he goes, actually, nah, yeah. She was right. I didn't want to go.
She'll be dead by then, so it won't matter to her. But yeah, I mean, you're assuming that's in like 40 years. So I'm not. She's not that old. Yes, that's all I have to say about that. But yeah, I think she's an interesting person, and if anyone is curious to learn more about her in a personal sense, watch her Front Bar episode because it's quite good. I don't watch the Front Bar, but I watched that because I was curious.
There you go. That'll about wrap things up. We said last week this was group therapy, and I think we all needed it this week because I think we're going to need it more next week. I've been pretty down on this. I'm definitely glass half empty if you can't tell about this Cats game. And I know Ben from the Hoops crew is going to reach out to me and ask for a post-match chat. So I've been lucky enough to have a chat to him after we've won. So let's see if we can have a chat to him after a loss and give them their flowers, I guess.
It is quite funny how, relatively speaking, you tend to actually be the more negative two of us. All of the evidence would dictate otherwise, but can you get me in on that chat? I just want to,
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
I thought I carried myself relatively well on Further North.
That's right, yeah.
Telling anecdotes about Daniel Pratt and my brother.
One of the great chats. One of the great Pratt chats. All right, that'll wrap things up for this week. We'll see you next week as we head into the bye for 2025, and hopefully, if 2024 is anything to go off, we'll go on a massive tear in the back half of the season. Fingers crossed, eh?